I've wanted to produce this show for like 8 years now, and I'm gonna do it one day.
Hmm.
It's a reality show I want to do where I want to take three women from Saudi Arabia and three like radical feminists from America, and I want them to swap for a month. All right, and we are live. Well, we're back. Welcome to another episode of Sue Me Later. I'm your host, the villain with the most, Sean Bills. I got my sis Save with me,
What's
and
up?
this one here is gonna be, a little heavy, but
And
it
probably why
needs
we
to
only
be.
got one guest.
Yeah, I done had a few people flake on me. They have prior obligations. It is what it is. But yeah. So given the recent events that have been going on, in America with the election and things like that, I posted the question to my socials and the stories: is America ready for a woman president? I'm gonna let you have the floor on this because I have my thoughts, but you being a woman in America, I
Hmm.
want to hear what you think about that.
So, like you said, the question is, do we think, or do I think America is ready for a woman president? And I say no. Um, my basis for that is because, and people might not agree, they might get mad, but men run the world. And even if she was as qualified as she could be to be president here in the United States, that doesn't really hold any weight anywhere else in the world. And me being a prior military person and having traveled to these places and things like that, and you have an understanding of a little bit about how things work overseas and in different places and with these world leaders, it is not a good look to have a woman president. They have their preconceived notions about women, they're men. And when you talk about global politics and stuff like that, you got to be able to be a force. And I can't see like the woman president of the United States going to these other countries and having to cover herself and humble herself before other world leaders because they're men and women get treated differently in these places is not a power move or a good power look for the United States. And honestly, you're not supposed to. You can't go over there and be like, oh well, I'm the president of the United States, so I don't have to put that on. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. It doesn't work like that. If you been in the shipyard, been in the military, or been in any job where you've had to travel overseas, and especially as a woman and deal with these things, it does not work like that. They don't care that she's the president of the United States. You know, she's a woman, and that's what matters. So when you look at it from a global view, is just not conducive to international politics and international moves that a woman be there. And like I told you in the DM, I said it's just some positions that no matter how much we're qualified for, men are just better for it. And you can't go start a war because other men in their political leadership positions won't play nice with you. How do you navigate those situations when some of them won't even talk to you because that's just not what they do. That's just not how they get down. That's just not their culture. And they don't care if you're the president of the United States or your position. So I feel like the United States itself isn't ready because we can call it misogyny, and the preconceived notions about women and their emotions and how they handle things. And if we're going to talk about her in particular, I find it very odd that people are upset that men think a woman couldn't run the country when she refused to do interviews without her VP candidate. Like she tried to take a man with her everywhere to help her. So
I mean, is
that
is Tim Walz a man? You
I
know,
mean,
like
I mean, well, I'm saying he's a white male, and she has a white male husband that that she's married to. So it's like she couldn't in the beginning. She was like she refused to do things without him. How are you gonna run a country like that? We saw footage of her in speaking engagements with other male leaders and male politicians internationally, and she would just laugh and say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna let you take that." Not answering the questions, not showing strength, not showing competency in answering the questions. So to me, just her interaction as vice president with men means that she's not ready, her in particular, not to be president, but other women too. So that's my thoughts on that so far.
what? Okay. I okay. At first, when I first pegged the question, I was like, yes, America is ready for a woman president. After speaking to some of my homies that are still active in the military, um, and just I got buddies in Japan that like live there
Mm-hmm.
full time and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I still think America is per se only because I think that we have a soft man epidemic and they would definitely vote for a woman that they love. Um, but when you start getting into global politics, when
Mm-hmm.
I learned from my homies that are still actively serving, like Putin won't even acknowledge her.
He said
Like
he said that he wanted her to win, but he said it because he didn't want to face Trump. He said that she would be easier to basically walk all over.
yeah,
That's what he was
and
insinuating.
I didn't even think about like the Middle Eastern countries and things like that.
And I've
I
been there.
seen I seen a video on Twitter. Twitter posts a lot of news,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Freedom of speech, Elon
to
Musk.
me this is what real misogyny and real oppression looks like. Do you know Iraq just passed a law and
Mm-hmm.
then claiming that because Muhammad did it in the Quran that it's legal. The age of consent in Iraq now is 9 years old.
Mm.
And there was a video posted where it was a woman. She was stating her claim like how this is wrong and everything. And the men she was talking to, they just really didn't they was not hearing nothing she said.
Nope.
And that opened my eyes. I'm like, okay, you got countries here that are using their religion as a shield on why they want to select and marry children.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna, have a woman president. And to me, then I thought about it. I was like, who could I envision as a woman winning a United States election? And I was like, it would have to be a very, very specific type of woman. It would me personally, if she didn't serve, I probably wouldn't.
Mm-mm.
I probably wouldn't even, because I think there's a certain level of knowledge and experience that comes with serving, that for a woman, you, as you stated, you get to see internationally how women are represented, how women are respected, or the lack of respect in
Mm-hmm.
many cases in a lot of these countries. I also think that there's a certain amount of toughness that comes from a woman who has served. I also thought about it. I was like, she would have to have a badass vice president. Like you couldn't have a Tim Walz. You couldn't have a tampon Timmy. You need a you need somebody who is against putting tampons in boys' bathrooms and against you know
But
nine
but
month abortions and
but then again, if that's a man, then what you're saying right now is it requires a tough man behind her to get stuff done.
yeah.
You see what I'm
And
saying? So
that's why
that's why you
I
can't say
was like yes
that
at
we're
first,
ready.
and then I was like damn, maybe not, Cause and I
It,
wanted it to be true. I'm like, damn,
and
because
it
to
don't have
me
nothing to
it
do with her qualifications because she could be qualified. She could be more qualified
more
than what
yeah.
we think the most qualified president is, and you would still run into that issue.
Because when I first picked the question, I basically my point was that Kamala sucks. That was my point. That that basically was my point. She sucks. Her campaign sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody voted for her to run for president. The
Mm-hmm.
primary she tried to get in, she
And
got
how you gonna talk
smoked
about
by other.
democracy when the whole time you were circumventing it?
Exactly, like the primary she did partake in, she got smoked by other women.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Didn't even make the finals. Biden said that he appointed her because of how she looked. His
Mm-hmm.
words, not mine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it's like now all of a sudden you're worthy of being like it just and again she ran a horrible campaign. The Dems in the media they're saying her campaign was perfect. There was nothing wrong with it. I'm like, okay, hold on, time out. Look, that shit was horrible. But digging deep into it and like I said, talking to my buddies in the military because even though I travel, there are places I still have not been. Like there are
Mm-hmm.
continents I haven't touched yet, but it's coming, it's loading.
Mm-hmm.
And but I have friends that either still live in other countries or migrated here for school or work and they're from other countries and just having that dialogue with them. Yeah, no. Like a woman president will work for a smaller country, but for a superpower like we are, that has the
Exactly.
cachet that we do,
Mm-hmm.
countries look to us to help them. And no, no. And then what also changed my mind was when Trump won the election, how China was like, you know, they
70
got in
world leaders.
line.
70. 70
Like
world leaders call him up.
everybody started to get in line, and I'm like, all right, hold on. Like you mean to tell me, you know, damn, Biden been in office, but Biden's been senile. Nobody looks at him as strong, and then you had like, yeah, no, no, yeah, no. We definitely need a male. And then I started to think, I'm like, even as weird and just of a horrible president Bush was, ain't nobody play with him like that.
No.
Ain't nobody play with Obama like that. Then I
Nope.
started, damn, ain't nobody play with Clinton like that either. Like what?
Nope.
I started to think, I'm like, all right, because I do remember when Russia invaded Ukraine, they had met with Biden and Kamala like 3 days before that. Shook their hands, let them know, yeah, everything's cool, blah blah blah. 3 days later, they marched right on Ukraine. Like, yeah, yeah, fuck
Mm-hmm.
that meeting. Like,
Started
so
bricks.
yeah, like I just I started to think about it and I was like, nah, no, wait, no, no, the world is not ready. And I mean, it is what it is. Like ironically, I even had that conversation with my daughter. She came to me and told me she wanted to be president one day, and I told her, baby, no, you don't. And
Mm-mm.
I let her know. I said, I'm not saying that you can't do it because I think you can do
Yeah,
anything you
absolutely.
put your
There's
mind
women out here
and your
who
grind
can.
to.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, baby, you don't want that job. I was like, number one, it's gonna age you like 20 years. I was like, and,
Yep.
and you're beautiful, you're gorgeous. You don't want to age 20 years. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was like, it's a very stressful job. And I was like, baby, those are certain type of stresses that you don't want. You
And
don't
you
want
might
those
not get to make the difference
stresses.
that you think you're gonna make. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? It's one thing to be qualified, it's another thing to be able to do the job. And it's not that you can't do the job because you're not qualified. It might be, well, it is because you wouldn't be able to do the job because it'd be so much opposition. And
Yeah.
what can you do about that? In your country, you can do some things. But outside of your country, there's nothing you could do. If people don't want to see you, they're not going to see you. If they don't want to talk to you, they're not going to talk to you. If they don't respect you, then they don't respect you. And what do you do in a position as a leader when you can't get things done globally on behalf of your country because of your gender?
Nah, bet and like that was one big thing with me. Like I am so sick and tired of all of the blame game, the shame game. I've wanted to produce this show for like 8 years now, and I'm gonna do it one day.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reality show I want to do where I want to take three women from Saudi Arabia and three like radical feminists from America, and I want them to swap for a month because I understand that women have a hard time in America, but this is the best place in the world to be a woman, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
because the things that I see, because I like to research things, so like the articles and things that I see about what goes on outside of America to women
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is I would never want to raise my daughter there. Like
Mm-hmm.
the fact that these women even have opinions in some countries would get them killed. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago where a woman had did something and they stoned her to death. And I was like, wait a minute. This is modern civilization. What are
Mm-hmm.
we doing stoning people to death? And I'm like, yo, like I remember there was a chick in Saudi Arabia. She did a rap video, and the rap video was like the most PG rap video I've ever seen. She just was talking about how Saudi Arabian women are the best women in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And they threw her ass in jail. They threw her ass in jail. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, that is crazy to me. So I've always wanted to produce this show because my thing is, I think they take this too far. Like the women's suffrage movement to me was something that was needed in this country because, I am of the belief that what women bring to the table is needed. It's important. It makes the world go. With men, women, with yin and yang. So respecting women and women having rights, I'm all for. But my thing now is like, what rights are being taken from you? Like, and
I
you
mean,
know me.
we can get into that if you want to, because
I, I
that's a doozy too.
I say that and then they look at me like, oh, you're a misogynist. How can you say that as having a daughter? I'm like, my daughter gets to wake up and choose what she wants to do with her life every
Every
day.
day.
And I know, like, I got a lot of friends that are from African nations. Yo, there's one African country where domestic violence is legal if the husband puts his hands on a woman, but the woman cannot leave her husband or hit him back or she goes to jail. That to me is misogyny and oppression.
Yeah.
That is unfair. That is a strip, taking rights away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like these same women. The fact that you can scream into your phone on TikTok about how much you hate men and hate this and hate that, that is a freedom.
Yep.
You what they that I want to produce this show so bad. Like I want to produce this show so bad so they can just get a sense of reality. Like
But I don't know if you'll even be able to
cherish.
produce a show like that because it'll take so much. Like, where's the line? Where's the line?
Yeah, like
Like when they
I
come over
would
here
I
is
would
one thing, but when the women
they
that you
go
take
over
for to
there.
go over there, where's the line?
I would have to like find find a common ground over there. We have to sign some waivers, set some parameters. Don't throw them in jail. Just deport them. We'll deal with them over here. Just deport them. Don't throw them in jail. Because like I don't. I think many women they have no idea. And
No.
you've been lucky enough to be able to travel to these countries to see like
Mm-hmm.
yo, there's a lot of nations that really treat women horrible, like less than human.
And then there's
And
nations and stuff like over in the Middle East, there's been black women, American black women who've gone over there and got arrested. There's this air of arrogance from Americans that don't fly in these different places. So you think you're gonna go to these Middle Eastern countries and I bet you no ma'am, not at all. And they lock you up and then you looking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like even in the military, if we wanted to go into mosque or go visit certain places, you had to cover up, shorty. And that's why I didn't go because I didn't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so okay, well, these are places that I can't go. These are places that I can't visit. These are people that I can't speak to. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you're not even allowed to talk to men.
Yeah,
So you get over
it's
there
wild.
talking to a cab driver and you think he ain't nothing but a cab driver and you end up in jail.
Like it's crazy. Like I remember seeing an article where it was some women who went over to Dubai
Mm-hmm.
and they were doing the cackling in public, and they threw their asses right in jail. Like they don't play that over there. And
Mm-hmm.
that's my thing. Like many women here like don't even realize the fact that you can even do that here is like that is a that's amazing to me. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can have an opinion. Like the women on the View who wake up and just disregard everything and think that everybody who voted against Kamala is a sexist, misogynist,
Mm-hmm.
fascist,
Mm-hmm.
xenophobic. Like you can't even throw these words around in other countries. Like you wouldn't even be on TV in some of these countries. Like
Mm-hmm.
that right there to me, like that is true misogyny. Like I'm just over all of this, misandry that is just allowed in this country, because I'm like I pay attention as much as I can to the women's movement and women fighting for what's right and things like that. And because I have a daughter, I'm a girl dad, so it is important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just be like, yo, what rights in the Constitution are being taken from y'all? I've seen women like crying, like they think that somebody is really coming to like put them in an internment camp or something. I'm like, what is going on?
That's what I'm not understanding. Is I, I I wish somebody could explain it. And it's all you'll see. And it's like, well, he was in office before, and he have his quirks and all of that stuff. Everybody does, but you know, we still here. We still made it. We still surviving. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
understand what's been taken. But I
and
mean, we can get into some thoughts about it. And I've been talking about this stuff for the past week because a lot of people talk to me and stuff like that. So the rights that we think we're losing, the basis for it is just insane. So I
I
don't know if we
mean,
can talk about and say those
if
words because I'm so used to
it
being on
it,
TikTok and
it,
stuff
it
like that. So
if you're talking about baby deletion,
hmm
I have very strong opinions about that.
oh, we could get
Um,
into it because we could get into it.
Especially being like, and that also goes into my other topic that I wanted to talk to about. The black voting power.
Hmm.
I think that this was a real wake up call, and I hope that my brothers and sisters really pay attention to it. It's been 50 years, and we
Hmm.
are still 13% of the population.
Hmm.
We are the only demographic that this lady won in the election.
Hmm.
We also have deleted 20 million babies over the past 15 years.
Mm.
Think of how much our population would have grown in the past 15 years if I'm going to say even half of those babies got a chance to live life. Then they got to have babies and things like that. And remember, this is 50 years ago. Somebody who was deleted 50 years ago could be a grandparent nowadays.
Hmm.
So you're talking about essentially three generations or two generations at least of voters. And I'm against it. I'm against it. I'm not against it fully, because I definitely think in some instances, you know, there are instances where that happens needs to happen, but after a certain amount of time, like, and that's my thing. Like I've done the research. Most reasons for baby deletion are basically just a form of contraceptive, and I think that is
99.
immoral. Yeah, and like just hearing Margaret Sanger's speech, and I'm like, yo, this is another. It just I'm against it. That was another reason I just could not get with. Once I found out that the state that Tim Walz governs, Minnesota,
Hmm.
basically has no regulation on baby deletion. Like
Hmm.
you could be in your ninth month and go to a clinic, and they getting the baby up out of here.
What
Then
was it?
when I
The
found
Repeal Act. I think that's what it's
I
called.
I forgot the name of
It
it,
starts
but
with an R.
they
I think it's the Repeal Act. If I'm wrong, we can look it up. But it's the Repeal Act where the lady was in court and she was saying that there's no limitations in that act that she was proposing. There was no limitations on when a baby could be deleted in that rhetoric. And it's so funny because when Trump mentioned that at the debate, everybody said that he was crazy, and we can get into that later too. But it was like he would say things and he's erratic and people be like, oh, he's crazy, listen to what he's saying. And then when you get off social media and when the debate was over and people would go actually look into what he was talking about, it's like, oh, so he really was right, but nobody want to hype that part up.
like
So
the cats and dogs thing. Like
mm-hmm,
my niece found out that I was having a conversation, and my niece, she's
mm-hmm,
7. She found out that I had chose to vote for Donnie Boy,
mm-hmm.
and she was like,
Donnie boy.
"No, he's crazy. He said that they're eating cats and dogs." And I was like, "They are eating cats and dogs." She was like, "What?" I said, "Your favorite app is TikTok, right?" She was like, "Yeah." I went on TikTok right on my phone and
Mm-hmm.
showed her the local news video of where a concerned neighbor caught one of the immigrants stealing a cat off of somebody's porch in Springfield, Ohio, where he said it was happening in
Mm-hmm.
Springfield, Ohio. It was late at night. They ran up, they grabbed the cat, threw him in a bag, and knelt on him like they were George Floyd
Mm.
until the cat died. And then they threw the bag over their shoulder and kept it trucking. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, there's only one reason you stealing cats, bro. Like,
Unless you just demented.
what? Yeah, like I wasn't born yesterday and I wasn't born at night. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
look, I'm trying to tell you, it's happening. And that was my thing. I'm like, they try to disregard everything he was saying. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, if you have to disregard everything he's saying, then you have to disregard everything she's saying.
But
Like
it was just a
to
platform. Like they would fact check him immediately, but she was free to say what she want. And this, going back to your
mm-hmm.
first question, this is also another reason why not women in particular, but she was not fit to be president because they softballed her and handled her with gentle white gloves the whole way through. And you want to be president? You want to be president? Like they made arrangements for her, telling her answers, everything scripted, giving her the easy questions, letting her go through with her word salad. It's like the epitome of what people think happens with women was right on display. That you can't do nothing without a man. You don't know what to say unless you're told. Everybody's going to be gentle and soft with you. That is like the essence of what misogyny thinks when it comes to women, that we can't stand by ourselves. Like you have, like, our history as women and oppression of women is rooted in that kind of stuff, you know?
mm-hmm.
And it was really playing out on TV. And so I'm sitting here confused, like, how do people not see this? How do people not see that the one thing that we're saying makes her qualified is actually breaking her down on TV? It's like
And
it back, you
like
know what I'm saying?
it and if you looked at her career, she has a history of skipping the line
Mm-hmm.
based on the men that she is attached to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even like I said, even her becoming vice president. Yo, I don't know how many people remember those Democratic primaries. Yo, Hillary was smoking her boots.
Mm-hmm.
Um, fucking Tulsi Gabbard was smoking her boots.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so. And I'm not even going to the men. Like just the women that were on the
So it's
the
like
the primaries.
you didn't even stand out amongst women.
It's the women. No, no, they were
You know what I'm saying? So
smoking her
so
boots.
so it's not a matter of of course, we can ask the general question, are women is America ready for a woman president? You can ask that question, but you can absolutely say no, America didn't need her as president.
No, 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 no,
Because
no,
out of
no.
all the women that were contending for that position, you were at the bottom of that poll. That
Yeah,
totem
she
pole.
she didn't even make it to the finals in Iowa. You know, they have the final
Mm-hmm.
primaries in Iowa. She never made
Mm-hmm.
it there because she never garnered enough votes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and what I always look at, like, national elections, and I look at the state the person came from and how that state voted.
Yeah.
Yes, I know on the electoral map, California seemed blue,
Mm-hmm.
but when they broke that state map down, I have never seen so many red counties in California.
Mm-hmm. I think that was my first time seeing a county breakdown too.
Yeah, like they broke she lost so many counties that were typically blue, not only just in California but throughout the country. But
Everywhere. Mm-hmm.
California, to me, that was where you were. That
That's her
was where,
stomping ground.
yeah, and so many people voted against her. And another thing I noticed was that so many states that voted against her voted for Democratic senators and Democratic House representatives. So
Mm-hmm.
that, to me, proved that it
It was
wasn't
personal.
your party, it wasn't your race, it wasn't your sex, it was you. It
Mm-hmm.
was you. Like, you just not. Oh man,
Plus,
like,
how do you run a campaign on choice when the first implementation of you into the presidential race was taking away people's choice?
mhm.
Nobody voted for you. No, there was no the Democrats shot themselves in the foot because when Joe Biden was still the Democratic nominee, they didn't run anybody against him, which is how they
Nope.
ended up in this situation in the first place. So how are you running on a platform of democracy and freedom of choice when the very first move made to even get you in this thing took away everybody's choice?
Mhm. And like I said, Biden said he chose her as VP because he liked the way she looked. She
Mm-hmm.
was literally a DEI hire.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. The literal definition of a DEI hire
Yep.
was her being vice
Mm-hmm.
president. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, they talk about, oh, her qualifications. I'm like, well, yeah, she's worked in all three branches of government, but how she got these jobs are questionable. And then what she did in those jobs are horrible.
And
Like,
then the same people that was praising her up during the campaign are the same people on recorded video, TV shows, interviews are the same people saying that they didn't like her. She was incompetent. Those are the same people that was saying that. And then once she was in the race, it was like everybody was saying that she was the best thing since sliced bread. And they were literally putting the videos side by side. Literally putting the videos side by
yo,
side. So it's like,
you
where did this come from? And like you referred to before, the media. You know what I'm saying? Now this is where the media comes in and basically was trying to rewrite history. Things that things that they brought up about her before all of a sudden couldn't be brought up anymore because you couldn't find them or you couldn't see them or nobody said that. It's like, how does this even happen?
you
It's like
know what
when
it
Beyonce
reminds
fell
me
off the
of?
stage and they scrubbed it from the internet, like, and it's just like it don't exist anymore. Like she never
you
fell, and
know
it's like, no, I know she fell.
no, I remember that. I seen that. I seen that.
Hmm.
You know what this reminds me of?
What's
And
that?
I don't know if you follow the NBA too, close. This reminds me of what LeBron just did for Bronny James.
Hmm. His son. Hmm.
But yes, because Bronny James is not an NBA player yet.
Hmm.
The talent is there. He's not developed enough in his game to where, like, he didn't even start in college. He came off the bench in college and he only was there for 1 year.
Hmm.
So they, his development isn't where it needs to be for him to be playing in real NBA games. So they
Hmm.
sent him to the G League, which is a developmental league. But here's the thing, he's only playing in home games for the G
Hmm.
League. So when the minor league team travels,
Hmm.
he don't have to go with them. He can chill. So it's like the coddling, like that's gonna breed resentment and
Hmm.
everything amongst his peers, because now it's like,
Hmm.
especially when your dad's slogan, one of his slogans is earned, not given.
Hmm.
And it's like, all right, man. And me personally, as someone who wants to be in a position of power to practice nepotism, I wasn't
Hmm.
even upset that he pushed for his son to get drafted. Whatever. His son wasn't a first round pick, whatever, cool. You know what I'm saying? Because, the other people do it all the damn time. They do
Mm-hmm.
it all the damn time. So I wasn't mad at that. But now it's like these extra perks and all that. Now I'm like, all right, he's dead. Let him go to the developmental league, do what he gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, oh, you don't get the travel with the team? Like, and when you're in the G League, you're not making a lot of money. Like, you're making a regular person's salary. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think the G League pays out, I think it's like $70,000. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like you're rich. Like, and when you're in the G League, there's no guarantee you're gonna make it to the NBA.
Right.
Like, you still have to fight, claw, and scratch your way to the NBA. So
Right.
even then, like, it's a grind. Like, so you mean to tell me that he don't get the grind? Like, he needs all the development he can get because, like I said, his skill set is there. It's genetic,
Mm-hmm.
but the coddling, the hand holding, the elevation, the hey, here you go, like just the presentation of it all. It reminded me of what they did with this election. Like, they just handed her to the people and was like, hey, support this black woman who really isn't black but looks black and went to an HBCU because she's a black woman. And if you don't, then you don't like black women. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
bruh. And look, I tweeted this. Barack, look, look, man. Ain't nobody with a white mama gonna tell me how I feel about black women when my mama black. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's how I feel about it. Nobody who was raised by a white woman is going to tell me how much I love or do not love black women when I
But
was raised by
he
a black
married
woman.
one.
Well, you know the history about why he married Michelle, right?
No.
It's in his book. It's in his book. That's a memoir.
Mm-hmm.
Obama's first love was a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
Obama was engaged to a white woman. Obama was
Mm-hmm.
going to marry a white woman. His mentor told him, if you have aspirations of being president one day, you will never get in a White House with a white woman as a wife. You need to go
Mm-hmm.
find you a sister, and you need to find you a black woman to stand by you. That is the only way you're getting into the White House.
Mm-hmm.
He broke up with his white woman that he was engaged with that next day and went and sought after a black woman after that. So Michelle wasn't even his first choice. And the reason he chose her was that she was an ends to a me. Now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna say they don't love each other now, but
Mm-hmm.
you spend that much time with somebody, you're bound to generate some emotional connection with them. But the reason he sought after her was strictly business.
Now,
It may not have
isn't
been
that
for her.
but isn't that ironic though? It's ironic that a woman who was used for her I guess you could say he needed to put the presidency on her back. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like he didn't really want her, but he needed her.
Mm-hmm.
Is talking to women about power and position and writing memoirs and stuff like that to the women that do the same thing or go through the same thing. Like, and everybody's mad
And,
about it. So this woman
and
is
that
telling you to be mad and don't let people use you as a means to an end when she was used as a means to an end.
means so then, yes, she was. She definitely was. And that was my thing. I'm like, yo, like, bro, you wasn't even like your dad was Kenyan, but your dad wasn't in your life. You were raised by a white woman and you lived a white lifestyle. Like, even in his book, he says he didn't interact with black people until he moved to Chicago. So it's like you didn't really experience the black experience from birth. And I'm not even talking about struggle. I'm just talking about even in
Culture.
successful black households, like there is a culture that you just
Mm-hmm.
were not hip to until you became basically a young adult. You don't know what it's like to wake up, on a Saturday morning, and it has a certain smell in the house because mom is cleaning and all you hear is gospel music. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what that
Cartoons and
feels
cereal.
like.
You don't know nothing about
Yeah,
that.
like you don't know what that feels like. So that was me. I'm like, ain't nobody with a white mother about to tell me how I feel about black women. And it rubbed a lot of black men the wrong way. Like, who are you? Number one, we don't hear from you for 4 years. Then you just pop out of nowhere and try to tell us that we supposed to vote for Kamala to stay on code, and that the reason we don't want to vote for her is because we hate women
And
and we don't want to see a
he was
woman
taught the
lead us.
code.
Yeah, and we don't want to see a woman lead us
But
when
let me who you talking to though? Like who you think you talking to? Who do you think you are to get up there and talk to grown men like that? Who you talk like when I heard I was like who is he talking to? Like
yo,
who
it was
why he
the
playing in
most
y'all face
cringe
like
shit
that?
ever because they allow it. Like, and then one of the dudes was like, I'm not sitting this election out. He was like, but your cousin Pookie may be sitting this election out, and I'm like, did he just
That
say?
that ain't the first time he didn't say that either.
Now, mind you, he was on a university campus, so these weren't just regular black men. These were educated, in college black men, and he just rolled up on them and tried to chastise them. Didn't ask them who they was voting for, anything. He just chastised them and thought that was gonna fly. And I'm like, yo, like we have a mind of our own. Like,
But let me tell you what this election brought out along the lines of that. I you know my age, but I've never seen, mind you, when they do the same kind of dog and pony show every every few years. But in this election, when I tell you they put the full pandering propaganda on display, like they really, there's a difference when you think you got something to lose and when you think you got something in the bag. You know what I'm saying? The way that
mm-hmm.
you play it is different when you be like, okay, we really got to put on a show. We really got to make them, come to our side. We really, there's a show you put on that way, and then there's a show you be like, man, I don't know if we can say the N word on here, man, get these niggas mad at Stallion, and let's go. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Go tell them to
man.
shut the hell up and go vote and let's go. There's a difference in how you do that. And in this election, they played in our face very boldly. And even though there are a lot of people that are still very emotional about it, that are still hurt about it, that are still, dealing with the ramifications of the Democratic Party and her loss, I was telling one of my homeboys that by far, by far, this is the most tuned in I've seen us as a people. This is the most open-minded we've been to altering our thought process and our choices in a long time. And I
Mm-hmm.
saw a reel that said that these last 2 or 3 generations, this is the first time in our history in this country that we haven't moved the needle forward. Do you know how disappointing that is to in be the descendants of people who marched and fought and died and all of that stuff, and then we come along and we don't move the needle forward. We just complacent or we just complaining. So for me, even though there's a lot of negativity and division still going on, for me, this is like the first time in history where they can say, okay, black people blindly vote for the Democratic Party, you know, and all of that stuff, and we don't care who it is as long as it's blue. And it's like, no, actually, this time it wasn't like that. It might still seem like that because we're still interacting with people who will vote blue no matter what, or vote what they say, vote blue no matter who. But this time, people was like, "Oh nah," you know how people used to be like, "Oh my God, Meg Thee Stallion, Beyonce." They was like, "Really?
Yeah. And
This what you
what?
giving us? This how you talking to us? This is who you think we are? You mean to tell me you brought Barack Obama to cuss our men out? Like, like, like niggas get your shit together. Like, vote for this lady and stop playing with us. Like, who are y'all talking to? You know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
what
this is
I
the first.
noticed, what I noticed was that there was a record number of like young voters this time,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and she lost that vote.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, what young people do is they vote, based on what the elders tell them to. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of
Yeah.
them, this was their first time voting. They don't really know the
No.
process like that.
Yeah.
They're not into the candidates, so they voting with whoever grandmama tell them to vote or granddaddy tell them to vote for. That's where they go.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, not this time. With young black
Exactly.
voters, she I was like,
Exactly. And this
whoa.
is why it was so much censorship on social media, because young people are on social media. So people will listen to social media before they listen to their parents and stuff now. So if you
Mm-hmm.
want to capture the young people, you got to get them where they be at, and where they be at is on social media. And in order for you to capture them, you have to be able to get the message about what they're talking about. And they blatantly talked about censorship, which is a violation of our First Amendment in the Constitution. Like, they literally said, you know, it's not right for people to be able to get on a platform with millions of followers and be able to put out information that's wrong, or misinformation, or information that could lead to be hurting people. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not. There's freedom of speech, and we're all individuals, and we should have our own brain to be able to discern
Mm-hmm.
right from wrong. But social media is where the young people are, and it's like, we don't want them. They don't want you to have a choice. That's the whole thing. How are you running a campaign based on freedom of choice and democracy when you're literally trying to wipe out the opposing person, any opposing information? You're not giving any, you're not trying to give anybody a fair chance to make any other choice other than y'all. And they displayed that in their own campaign run when they brought no other candidate for president except Biden, who was already in the White House. So I've sat and thought about these things because, over analytical. And then there's people like, which I thought was funny, like Kai Cent, the live streamer, who
Yeah.
said that Kamala's team reached out to him. This, well, he said security team reached out to him about her coming on his live stream, but a lot of them were saying that they don't get into politics, and everybody was calling him stupid. Like, the security team don't even reach out. I'm like, okay, he's young, and like you said, a lot of them
Yeah.
don't know about politics and who they're actually talking to, right? But there's no doubt in my mind, after finding out how much she paid all these celebrities and stuff, that she absolutely tried to get on that man's podcast, live stream.
She reached out to him.
She her
She
her people
definitely reached
absolutely
out to him.
reached out to him, because that's the demographic that they want. That's the demographic of,
Mm-hmm.
what maybe some of us older people consider like the kids who don't care, the kids who just out here wilding out and doing silly stuff. Like, that's who they want, because they're the ripe voting age, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
So
and Kai, I watched his come up. Like Kai been grinding since he was in high school. I think Kai's
for
only
real,
like
yeah.
22 now.
Hmm.
So his following is crazy. Like, I don't know if you
Crazy.
remember where he had the meetup in New York, and he didn't expect for it to be that many people, so he
I
didn't get a
remember.
permit or anything.
Yeah.
And like
And he got
he
arrested.
shut the city down. He
He
shut the
literally,
city
yeah.
down.
I remember.
Like, and people was like, yo, I'm like, nah, y'all don't understand. Like, I remember when he was grinding, like, it was so bad. He was grinding so bad, like when he was back home in the Bronx in high school and shit. You know how New York is, like they in that small ass apartment, and it was a fucking mouse that was in his house that was running through the
Hmm.
background and shit. So he improvised and was like, "Nah, that's my friend," and like named the mouse and shit. So every time the mouse would run when he live streaming, it would run around in the background and shit.
Hmm.
People started to like the mouse. Like, the mouse had its own fan club and shit. And I was like, "Yo,
Yeah.
this kid is genius. He's gonna go
Hmm.
somewhere." Like,
Hmm.
he really got it out the mud. She definitely reached out to him. I'm
There's no doubt
100%
in my
certain of
mind that
that.
her
Like,
team reached out to every major um live streamer, YouTuber, or whatever, because they were trying to infiltrate all the important
no,
information hubs
just the black one.
without yeah, without without seeming so obvious. But that's the thing, it was too obvious to me. It was too obvious. It's like, this is the first time for me that I've ever seen Black people be like, nah, we're not doing that. Like, first of all, when you get Beyonce to come to something and do something, and everybody be dragging her for being a part of it, it's like, okay, hold on now.
And
Like,
I laughed because people don't even realize, like, one, Beyonce and Jay-Z did a free concert for Hillary Clinton. They did a free
mhm,
concert to raise money, and it was for Hillary Clinton and everything. This time, you Jay-Z said nothing. Absolutely nothing.
mm-mm,
And I found out why he says nothing. I'm gonna tell you in a minute. But that was all we heard from Beyonce. Beyonce did not endorse this lady anything until that bag came. When the
But
bag
the thing
came,
is, not until the bag came, but then, this might be a little off topic, but we do know that certain people in certain positions, they might leave you alone until they need you to tap in. Like bag or no bag. You know what I'm saying? With all the stuff going around about, Diddy and all of this stuff, whatever. Like we can sit here and pretend like it's just some stuff, it is what it is, but that stuff be a lot deeper than what we regular people know. And sometimes if they don't need you, then they don't need you. But if they do
yeah.
need you, you better come. They're gonna make the
Well,
call into the big
from
guns.
from what I heard, they threw 10 million at her
Hmm.
for 4 minutes. I'm gonna do whatever you need me to do for 4 minutes to
Hmm.
make $10 million. But
I mean, I
I
understand
found
it, but it's just the fact that the veil, I guess you can say, has been lifted. So it's not
lifted.
like it's not, oh, Beyonce say vote for her, vote for her. It's like, why you not
No,
talking
it's
about
it's
policies?
like
Why you not talking about helping making our communities better? You blatantly said that you will not do anything specifically for black people. No, she said that. So now, but now you all in our faces trying to get our vote after you
mm-hmm.
clearly, blatantly on TV told us that you were not going to do anything for us. And now the dog and pony, the song and dance show don't work anymore. It's like,
Yo,
oh, I did say that, huh? Here's Meg Thee Stallion, here's Quavo, here's Beyonce, here's this and that.
did
And
you see?
people like, you really think that's gonna work? You telling us your grandma used to wash collard greens in the tub?
Yeah, that was nasty.
You know what
But
I'm saying? Like you playing in our face right now because she was like, oh,
when
I love my greens like this. And I'm just like, well, who you cooking greens for? Your Indian mama?
when Meg Thee Stallion was performing at that rally, did you see the older black Democrats in the audience? Did you see their
Mm-hmm.
faces? Yo,
Mm-hmm. And I think as and I'm gonna say this, I might hope people. I think as stupid as they think black people are, we're tired of that trope.
mm-hmm.
Like this, and like I said, it's still a lot of people. It's still a lot of work to be done. But it was a lot of people that's just like, are y'all serious right now?
Yeah,
Like,
don't
like,
piss on me
like
and tell me
the
it's
cost,
raining.
like the cost of living is too high. We having to work our tails off. Our kids are suffering, we suffering, and you give us some twerking. Like it was the mind you, they played in our face and stuff before, but I'm gonna even play the game. Let's say that she is a black woman, right? When Hillary did it, she was doing what they always do. She was doing what white people always do when they want to deal with black people. They talk like we talk. They walk like we walk. They talk about
They
having
put
hot
hot
sauce in
sauce
their
out of their
bag and stuff,
purse.
like, you know what I mean? They do that because we as a community have invited everybody to the damn cookout. So they figure
Mm-hmm.
if they cool enough, and I was telling somebody, I said, if you want to be cool anywhere in the world, being somebody who's traveled the world, act black.
Mm-hmm.
Look at social media, how Asians and anybody of any other culture, the more you act like a black American, the cooler you
The
are
cooler
there. But
you
they don't
are.
but they don't like
Mm-hmm.
us ourselves. But if you act like us and
Oh,
you doing Chinese drill rap, you know what I'm saying? You the
yo, the
coolest.
funniest thing to me is when Africans try to tell us that we have no culture, and then I look and they cosplay our culture in their native countries to
Mm-hmm.
seem cool. And
Yep.
I'm sitting here like, who? Yo, oh my God, man. Like, yo, we can go down a rabbit hole on that one.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel so that's gonna be a
black
whole nother
the
episode.
black American culture is
It's world
unique, it's
culture.
special. Yes,
And,
and
and, and, and
now
listen, when you go to
yeah, nah.
Japan and you go to a club, I went to Japan in 2008, and when we went to a hip hop club in Japan in 2008, and they had on the FUBU, they had the bandanas tied around their head. They was a couple of years, but they be ahead in technology, but they was a couple of years behind in the music and stuff like
Behind.
that. But but it was that's what they do. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that to say that even if she quote unquote was portraying herself as a black woman, she should have knew better, because you 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 should have understood our struggle. You should have understood how to talk to us. You should have understood what white people don't, or people of other cultures and races don't. That
Mm-hmm.
when you talk to us, you don't have to be like, yo, what up, cuz? You know what I'm saying? Cause my partner Quavo here said, you don't have to do that with
On a
us. We're
union member,
when our
a
union
union
member, you know what I'm
member.
saying? Like, you don't have to do that with us. Like, we're intelligent, we understand. There's a lot of us out here that do what's supposed to be done. We're very well educated. We are very
Mm-hmm.
abreast on what happens in the system and what's going on around us. So for you to get up there as a quote unquote Black woman and do us like Hillary Clinton did,
And the funniest thing to me as
singing Negro spirituals at the podium. I may
the
not get
funniest
there
thing
with you. Excuse me, ma'am.
and the craziest part to me was that as much as I don't like Meg the Stallion has a bachelor's degree from an HBCU in
Mm-hmm.
health administration and sciences.
Mm-hmm.
Your main talking point on your campaign was about reproductive rights.
Mm-hmm.
Why you didn't have Meg talk like put that education to the forefront? Like even if you want to use Meg, you could have used her in a different light.
But
You could have.
that's why this was so rich. That's why this was so good, because it showed that they have no faith in our ability to think for ourselves. It shows that even a quote unquote Black woman that's a part of the system has no faith in our education, in our knowledge, in our love of self, in our ability to advocate for our community. They literally do not want us to be educated. That's why they try to eliminate and erase all the information on the other side, because they don't want you to have nothing to compare it to. Here's the only bowl we want you to eat from. They're not gonna put Meg Thee Stallion up there to educate. Honestly, that goes against the system. Back in
It
the day with
does.
slaves and stuff like that, they said the slave that you needed to fear was the one that walked around
Mm-hmm.
asking all the questions, trying to figure out how the plantation worked, trying to learn more about it. They was like, you either need to unalive them or you need to send them up the river somewhere. You need to get them off the plantation before they infect the other slaves. That girl, like you say, got a bachelor's degree from an HBCU. She is an educated female, but they don't want us educated. They want us stupid. And in other words, I saw this video that said, keep them silly, keep us silly, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They're not going to present educated people for us so we can make an educated decision about this country, because if we get educated enough to, then we'll find out that they full of shit.
Nah,
We'll realize that
facts.
they've been
Like,
bamboozling us this entire time. But this time, like you just said, when they brought out Meg Thee Stallion to dance and shake her ass, instead of having her talk from an educated college standpoint as the graduate she is, that just shows what they really think about all of us. Oh, just get Beyonce. Oh, just have Megan twerk. They like that. They like that.
oh,
Oh, we
the
we really desperate. Somebody go get Obama and have him tell these Black men that they better support her, and or this, that, and the third, and cuss them out. Who
the
y'all talking
funny
to?
thing is the county in Texas that Beyonce is from,
Mm-hmm.
she lost that shit.
Mm-hmm. Because
That
because
that shit turned red. She
one of
lost
the
that shit.
one of the worst things you can do to people, to smart people, is insult their intelligence. Like, you got to see me about insulting my intelligence. And as Black people, we are up against enough. And
Mm-hmm.
as a Black woman, quote unquote, with what she was pretending and cosplaying to be during this time, there's just certain things you need to know. And me and my friend would get into this debate all the time. I'm like, as a Black woman, there are things that you're supposed to know about Black people and how to handle us and how to address us. Like, all of us don't listen and like and carry ourselves like Sexy Red. We don't.
Yeah.
And something as serious as politics and the effect that it's going to have on our country and community, a lot of us step up to the plate. And I'm talking to people about trying to switch that narrative, where we sit and we talk and we show that we are still, even as intelligent as we are, still succumbing to the narrative that, oh, all Black women care about is lashes and, twerking. All Black men care about is rap videos and guns. Like, all,
Nah,
everybody, the majority. That's not true. That is not true.
that's facts. Like
That's
I was
that's not
having that
true.
conversation earlier today, and I was saying like our global image, it matters. And I'm like, we have to move in a way to where we start to change our global image because a lot of these other countries, they only know what's portrayed
Mm-hmm.
about us.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go overseas and they think that all black women are combative and all black women are loud and ratchet and ghetto and argumentative, I'm like, that's because that's what's being portrayed. And I'm like, as black, we have a responsibility to not support that shit anymore.
We do. I think we should sue the music
Like
industry, but that's another story.
even bigger than the music industry, like
Mm-hmm.
Zeus Network
Mm-hmm.
is owned by a black couple, and all y'all show is the most ghetto ratchet shit. But again, if it wasn't lucrative, if people weren't tuning in, they
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't do it. I think
Believe it
Mona
or not.
Scott Young is the biggest pimp in
Oh yeah,
American history.
absolutely. Believe it or
Biggest
not,
pimp in
BET.
American history.
When I went to Chile, and I was in Chile and we was in this hotel because they had like, bars, restaurants, and all of this stuff down in Chile. And it was this group of Chilean, I guess that's what you call guys there, girls mingling with the guys from the boat, just we was all in the same place. And there's one dude, couldn't understand what he was saying, but he thought I was so pretty, and he was just pointing and stuff, and pointing at my butt. And so we laughing and stuff, right? And we like, well, where you get that from? And he was like, the TV. And so there was somebody there that spoke both, whatever they, I forget what they speak down there, but English. And he's like, you're very pretty, like the girls we see on TV. He was like on BET. So, and he's like, you
Shit.
got a bit butt like the girls on BET. And I was like, wow. So it's like the women think that they're all rappers and athletes because, military boys have money. They come with the chains and all of this stuff. So these women are thinking they're all athletes and they're all rappers. And they think that we're all like big booty video vixens that dance and twerk and do all of this stuff or whatever was going on BET at the time, because this was a long time ago. So it's like these are the perceptions that are really infiltrating the world. How do you volunteer as a person to help indoctrinate Ukrainian refugees into the city? I mean, into the country. And the president of Ukraine puts out a memo or a PSA that says, hey, um, basically, Black Americans, if you're going to be helping with the cause, just be aware that you might get called the N word with the hard ER by the Ukrainian refugees. So
Hmm.
I'm thinking to myself, how? Like, that word and this connotation is an
Oh,
American thing. You know what I'm saying?
I can tell you. I can
I
tell
mean,
you.
I'm sure that they put it out, but it's like, how you coming from way over there and you coming over here and you're calling me that? And that's not even a thing over there.
Well, it is. It is actually. My boy that he lives in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
What I found out is that Ukraine has a very deep Nazi culture.
Mm-hmm.
So like they used to have like actual Nazis in modern times help train their military.
Mm-hmm.
So they are deeply racist over there. And
Right. But what I'm saying is that started here. And so, like you
yeah,
said, the global effect and the global image, it just lets you know how deep it is and how far it went, because the 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 connotation and the environment surrounding that word here and how that came about and why it exists, that ain't got nothing to do with over there.
nah, they
You know
don't
what
know
I'm
nothing
saying?
about
They
that.
don't know nothing
And that
about that. They
that's
wasn't a
like
part of that. So it's like, how do you come over here in
what year is
2022,
this?
2021, 2023? How do you come over here calling us that?
In 20, I want to say this was 2012, or might have been 20, no, it was 2012. I was
Mm-hmm.
working at Busch Gardens, and Busch does the foreign students to come over and work during
Mm-hmm.
the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I was working with this chick from Romania, and I had my earbud in because I was selling photos off the ride, so I was chilling. I had my earbud in, and I'm nodding my head and shit. I don't even remember what I was listening to. And she was like, "You listening to music?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Are you listening to the Niga music?" And I was like, "Yo, don't do that ever again in your life." And she genuinely did not understand
Mm-hmm.
the history and like negative background behind that word and like what she had just did. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Yo, I'm telling you right now, if you was from America, we'd have had a big problem. But
Yep.
I took it as a, like when I explained it to her, she started crying, like because she
Hmm.
really just genuinely did not know.
Hmm.
Because over there, that's what's marketed. Like we're all just
Hmm.
niggas. We do the nigga music. We're hip. We're cool. And
Hmm.
when I explained to her, like, yo, this is where that word comes from. This is what it's dealing with. This slavery, everything like that. Yo, she broke down in tears and started crying, like on the job. Like I had to like tell her, like, yo, you good? Like I'm not upset with you because I understand that's how you were indoctrinated. I
Hmm.
was like, but someone else who isn't as well versed as me, who doesn't research things like me, they probably would have smacked the shit out of you
But
at
you
the
got to
job.
understand that's a difference too. It's a difference when you just that's what you think it is and you've been told that, and when you
Mm-hmm.
encounter somebody and you be like, you're a in a
Yeah,
malicious
like,
way. But like you say, getting back to it, it's all about image and stuff. And I do believe that despite the Democratic Party's best efforts to keep the wool over our eyes, I really do believe that we probably did more research. We probably did more soul searching. We probably did more like this is what they really think of us than we ever have in a very long time. And I believe that if
mm-hmm.
our eyes are truly going to be open and the shift and how we're looked at and perceived, this is a great starting point. This is a great starting point
Yes.
because the people who our communities have been looking to for years and have been getting nothing from, and we just been letting them get away with just manhandling us or playing with us like little toys and then putting us back on the shelf when until the next election season. I believe that this election has broken that. And I believe, people, us as a whole, have a better view of, okay, yeah, like they really don't care. They're really never going to change. They're really like, and it's so bad that they didn't even make any effort. They didn't make any effort.
Nope.
Like I said in the beginning, it's different when they feel like they really have to fight for your vote, or they fight, they really got to put on a show at least. You know what I'm saying? But for them to just be like, she's black, everybody vote for her, have a good night.
Yeah,
Everybody's
it
like, huh?
was.
We're not worthy of no explanation. We're not worthy of no policies. We're not worthy the of you trying to convince us even anymore. Like to even make us
Yeah,
think that we're important enough to be a part of this. No, no, we don't get that no more.
like I felt more I don't think I've ever felt more disrespected um during a campaign. Probably when Biden sat down with Charlemagne and was like, "If you don't vote for me, are you even black?" I think that was the most disrespectful thing I've. And
Hmm.
at that point, my
And that was
pride
the
was like,
beginning of all
"I'm
of
not
this.
voting for you." Yeah, I was like, "I'm not voting for you." Like, you're a white man asking me, "Am I?" No, we're done there.
And that was the beginning of all of this.
Even all the pandering Hillary did, I didn't feel disrespected. I just thought it was a clown show.
Hmm.
This campaign here,
Hmm.
like I like I don't even know how black women at a 92% clip voted for her because I thought this campaign was super disrespectful to black women. You mean to tell me you ran a campaign targeting black women and you got the most degenerate entertainers to speak to them and you ran it off the basis of baby deletion? That's what you think of my sisters? Like that's what you think? Like that right there to me let me know, okay, they really don't give
They
a
don't
fuck
care.
about us.
And
Like
that's
they
the
don't
view
care at
that
all.
I took. And that's why I could not take her seriously. Because I'm like, first of all, you're up here parading as a black woman, and you talking about this middle class family life, and your mom did this and that. I have to tip my hat and give flowers to Candace Owens because she did her thing. When she dug
Clap
into her
back
genealogy
queen.
like that,
Oh my god.
I love
Have
it.
you
Love
seen the
her.
hats?
Loved it. Hmm?
Have you seen the hats?
Mm-mm, but whatever they at, just send me the link because I'm getting one.
Can- Candace Owens has a made Kamala Indian again hat.
Oh, but but you know what I'm saying? Like when I tell you she broke it down, and that added even more insult to injury, right? because
Mm-hmm.
you literally made up a whole life off of a few things. The fact that you lived in California, a black city, Oakland, and the fact that you went to HBCU and pledged black sorority. You centered your blackness on those three things, right? And you built this facade, and you changed pictures, and you literally built this life. And in your actual life, you can't relate to none of us, not even in the slightest. And they said that her family was out of the caste system of South Asian and Indian families. There's a hierarchy of families. Like here, you got the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, things like that. Hers
Mm-hmm.
is one of the top three, her lineage.
Yeah.
So she ain't never had to worry about none of the stuff that we had to worry about. So to find out that even the things that you were saying to try to relate to us about yourself was blatant lies, that's why they call her a chameleon.
Yo, the one that got me was the picture she keep claiming is her grandma, and that lady
Yeah.
actually was the house servant.
Yeah. Like, come on, man.
Like, come on,
But
yo.
how did, and here's, you brought it up, right? So with the black women and stuff like that, somebody might get mad when they hear this later, but they tucking their tails right now. I can't say we because I'm not a part of that. Like, I didn't like her. I voted the other way. Like, they're tucking their tails right now. And as black women, they set in this instance, they set themselves up for failure. As true black women, we know what it's like to have everything being carried on your back. We know what it's like to
Mm-hmm.
sit and support and give and do. She couldn't relate to none of that. She
Nope.
literally was born with some silver spoons in her mouth. She can't relate to none of that. And
Facts.
the reason I think black women are so hurt and so upset right now is because once again, we've been hoodwinked into something that ain't have nothing to do with us or was built on a lie, and is educated and is smart, and as the largest growing entrepreneurial group and the largest growing sector of homeowners in the country, and all these accolades that they bestow upon us with what we do in our daily lives and the achievements that we accomplish every day, they still got the fuck bamboozled. And so now they're mad. They're mad at Puerto Ricans. They're mad at black men. They're mad at the black women who didn't vote and vote for her or follow that rhetoric and stuff like that. They're mad at everybody but themselves. And we should know better. We should know better. Like, if you are so tired of being the pack mule for everybody, why don't we vet these situations better? Why don't we
Mm-hmm.
actually check stuff out before we get behind it? Why are we still thinking that just because you're black, that's enough?
When it's
Didn't
not.
didn't we learn anything from Martin Luther King when he did that?
Like, and the crazy part to me was what I noticed was that after the election results, a lot of black women was like, white women never have our back. White women never. I said, yo, I
How
said,
long have we known
white,
that?
I said, white women will march with y'all. They'll whisper in your ear about how much they don't like their men and all of that shit. But I was like, at the end of the day, what Billy Bob says fucking goes. White women ain't turning their backs on their men. And
Ever.
I found it fascinating that Michelle Obama had the audacity to give that speech and literally, and we know the campaign was targeting black women,
Hmm.
had the nerve to say, go against your husbands. It's only you in that booth by yourself. And, basically put the battery in their back to say, yo, if they not fucking with Kamala, you do your own thing.
And let me tell you
You
something.
leave
Aren't
them.
aren't aren't these supposed to be Christian women?
Look, the Democratic Party left Christianity a very long time ago.
And they
But
they did, they did. But who? Okay, but if we're gonna go there, who parades around and acts like things are Christian and that they're holy and stuff when they not? Look at the effects of this. They got up there and told you to go against your husband, ma'am. You
that's
can't,
going
you
against
can't, you
God.
can't, you can't post an affirmation. You can't post a Bible verse because your life is no longer
Mm-mm.
blessed if you're gonna sit there and let some lady tell you to go against your husband. You go against your husband in
That
a marital situation, you going against God. So what was y'all expecting?
and then I looked at the polling results, and no other race of women went against their husband. So I'm like, I was like, cool. And it was still funny because what was it? I want to say 70 something percent of black men still voted for Kamala. So it wasn't even that black men went against their husbands, but I've seen a lot of interviews where the man wanted to say he had a difference of opinion and
Hmm.
his wife shut that down. Or his wife was
And what
like,
and
"Oh,
what
I'm
they
a force him."
and what they tell you about them men.
Yeah, but it's a lot of brothers that are very, very, very soft, especially when it comes to their women.
It's
And
out of order. It's out of order. Them men don't run their
and
house
I'm
like
just
they think
like,
they do.
yo,
It's
and
out of
I'm like,
order.
yo, y'all, man, look,
I was
and that I
I
know
was on
you see
a
my Facebook post when I was like, yo, if your house is divided over this election, you get no respect and you don't run your household.
you don't
Like,
run your household. I was
no
on a
matter
on
which
a
way you voting.
I was on a live stream on TikTok, and this lady was talking. The moderator asked the lady, black lady, black moderator, black man moderator, did her husband vote for Trump? And she was like, hell no, I wasn't having that. I'll leave his ass. But you could tell by her tone. I was like, oh, you one of them. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, like spiritually, her campaign did exactly what it was supposed to do. Like the
Yeah,
whole premise of the Democratic Party, the whole premise of white supremacy and systematic racism in America is to destroy the nuclear black family. That's what it always comes down to, keeping black men and black women separated. And even though she didn't win the White House, she definitely won in the area of divide and conquer, the area of evil, because you got black women really sitting here talking about leaving their husbands and destroying their families. What about y'all kids?
yo, I've genuinely lost like friendships. I've been kicked out of discords. I've been
Hmm.
kicked out of like sporting group chats. Like all because I wasn't jacking Kamala. Like I just
And
wasn't.
I'm sorry, them people,
And
they don't have no substance. They're out of order. They need to really take a deep look at themselves and what that vote and what their thought process really stands for. Because at the very least, I'm not a Trump supporter. You know what I'm saying? I
me
went for
either.
policy and what I could stand for if I casted my vote, because I used to get berated for not voting.
And
So
me, like I called her campaign demonic, and people was like, how could you even say that when the other guy is a racist and a Marxist and a this and a that? And I'm like, yo, like fundamentally speaking, like he's not out here trying to delete babies and he's not out here, trying to have men invade women's spaces. I'm like, yo, I got a daughter. Like, and it was funny to me how most of them had no idea that at the beginning of the year, Biden and Harris were trying to push for trans protections in the Title IX. Like,
mhm.
that's a major policy. That would mean that federally, whatever you identify as is the level, the team that you can play for. So uh my daughter, she just asked me the other day, can she do basketball, because she's a Liberty fan and we won a chip. So she just asked me the other day, like, hey, I want to do basketball next year, daddy. She's going into seventh grade. She's already past that mark with me where boys and girls should be playing sports together, because once puberty kicks in, I don't think any little boy should be playing sports with girls. So you mean to tell me if she wants to play like volleyball, and people are like, volleyball, like there's an actual story. This was another reason that made me like I cannot fundamentally vote for this woman. In North Carolina, there was this girl who had scholarships to go play volleyball at D1 schools. Like her education was going to be paid for and everything. They let a, a, a young man play against them, and he spiked the volleyball so damn hard it gave her brain damage. Like, so she lost all her scholarships and everything. Like, she had a long road to recovery. She was in a coma for a little bit.
Mhm.
And when I say that, that raises concerns for me as a girl dad. I had people literally tell me, "Oh, you're just transphobic." I'm like, "Yo, what are you talking? Like, it's literally there. Like, I don't like as a father, it is my duty to make sure my daughter is protected and feels safe 100% of the time. So I don't want to live in a world where, because a grown ass man wants to be a woman today, he can go into the woman's bathroom where my daughter is. Like, no, I don't want that. I don't want young men being able to compete against my daughter in sports. Do you know
Hmm.
the UN actually came out with this statistic about 2 weeks ago? There have been over 900 medals and awards that were not won by women worldwide due to trans athletes.
It's a life hack.
Yeah, you don't want to compete against men,
You can't
so
compete against men,
you identify as a woman, and then you go beat up on
and
the
then
women.
you go dominate.
And to me, it's like we're losing everything in this country about what makes women women and what makes women special. And I'm like, I'm not for that. If y'all want to label me a misogynist because I think women are special and that women should have special spaces and that women should be protected, then I'm a fucking misogynist. I don't care. I don't care.
Mhm.
I'm gonna stand on that. I'm gonna be prime Shaq in the paint on that all the time. I'm standing on business behind that. I cannot vote for a party that when I ask you what is a woman, you tell me whoever identifies as one. Like, no. So you mean to tell me if Shaquille O'Neal wants to be Shaniqua tomorrow, we just supposed to say that he's Shaniqua? Fuck no.
I'm gonna tell
No.
you. I'm gonna tell you why I think this shit is BS. Because you have trans. If trans women, transgender women, are so adamant about opening up and dewomanizing women's spaces for them, right? If that's the trans movement, if that's what it's all about, why are trans men not going into men's spaces?
Because they know what it is.
Say it again.
They know what time it is.
Exactly.
Like,
So
look,
so so here's the thing though. So as a whole movement, right? You can't say, well, these men who identify as women, right? They're women now and they deserve to be in spaces, with their man strength and biology and all of these things, right? But that's the movement. The movement it's supposed to be to get into the spaces that you identify with, right? But you got trans women trying to invade women's spaces, and you got trans men trying to invade and erase women's spaces, right? But like you said, the trans men aren't trying to get into men's spaces because they know they're women.
they know what
You know
time
what
it
I'm saying?
is.
So if
Hey,
that's the logic behind that, then it's the logic on the other side too.
like the
We
shit
getting
that
it, we
goes
getting it, we
on.
getting it from both ends, and it's not.
Yeah,
But for one in particular, it's because y'all know better, and y'all know that men aren't having that. So are y'all just picking on the weaker gender? And as a trans woman, if you feel like we're the gender that's easier to push around because that's what you identify as, then you're doing that as a man.
yeah, like and it's look, men's spaces. There's no place for women
But
in
I've
men's
seen so
spaces.
many so many videos of transgender women like, I dare you to tell me I can't go in the women's bathroom. I dare you to stop me. I will crush you. And it's like, sir,
That's all
sir,
fine and dandy, man. Look, man, when
like,
when 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 Trump passed this federal concealed reciprocity, I want to see what you're gonna do, cause
because I
I'm
got
gonna
mine
have
and I'm
mine
getting
with
some
me
more.
all day. Yeah, like I ain't look. I'm not with that, but women have no place in men's spaces, and it's not because of the cliche thing of, oh, y'all women. I genuinely believe that women have no place in men's spaces because it is not safe. It is not safe for y'all physically. It is not safe for y'all emotionally. Y'all are not supposed to be there because the way that we talk amongst each other
Hmm.
and the way that we deal with each other, like, we will literally fist fight on Tuesday and be at the bar Wednesday night. Like, it
Hmm.
that's just how we are. Like, it really does have like a primal type of like aesthetic to it in men's spaces, and that's no place for women. Like, and I like, I want to keep y'all safe. Y'all don't need to be in our spaces. Like it's
I think
dangerous.
the I
It's
think a lot of
dangerous.
things are just a lot of things are just out of order. They're out of order. Like if you sit down
They
and have a
are.
conversation with me and we can run it down. Like a lot of things are out of order. And right
Cause yo,
now, a lot of people are out of order because ain't no way I would have shaved my head and put on no blue bracelet because she lost.
but the crazy part is, again, the 4B movement, the one that's going on, and the women are, saying we're not gonna deal with men, we're not gonna, do this, do that. The 4B movement started in South Korea
Hmm.
because those women were actually being forced into marriages and being forced into things that they really didn't have a fucking choice. So they banded together and started wrecking some shit and causing disruption so they can eventually get a choice. Because even though South Korea isn't a quote unquote dictatorship, the way that their culture and shit is set up is you might be they usually pick who they want you to go with. Like
Hmm.
you really don't have a choice. And again, that goes back to that's real misogyny and real issues. That's why they did that. They didn't do that because men just weren't doing what they wanted them to do. Like it's so I'm like, yo, y'all don't even
And you don't
realize what
even
y'all
and
following.
they acting like they don't even understand the cosmic and spiritual ramifications of those decisions. You are doing this shit for nothing. You are doing this shit because you're in your feelings. And this is exactly why America is not ready for a woman president.
You got me. You got me there. Cause I told you at first I was like, yeah, you need a strong woman, probably with a military background. I was like, but nah, she gonna need a strong ass VP because like when she go overseas, and then I was like, damn, but when she go overseas, so that's
And
when I
if you and
started
if
hitting
you
my
and if you
homies
need
up.
a man to back you,
Yeah, then he might as well be president. Because I was like, yeah,
exactly.
she gonna need a
Like let's
badass vice president.
why even play around?
Yeah, and I was like, well, damn, if he's such a badass, why is he the vice president? I was like, damn, nah, never mind.
And
I
that's
was
and
like,
that's
no,
and that's
no.
and that's just optics. If you do it like that, that's optics. That's playing around. You know what I'm saying? Why do all of that when you can just have do what needs to be done and have somebody in a position that can get it done right the first time? When you're talking
No
about
facts.
global impact, when you're talking about, you know, world relations, when you're talking about the well-being of your country and the whole purpose of the military and us doing deployments, what I learned is to show off. That's what deployments are for armies and militaries and stuff to show off their forces. You know what I'm saying? And we weren't looking good at all under Biden. It's a lot of things I feel like need to go away or need to be stopped with our military, but that's another story for another day. Um, so it's already a delicate balance, especially when superpowers don't like each other and all these countries got weapons and anybody could push a button. You don't have time to sit around and play. No offense, pardon my language. You don't have time to sit around and play with no woman, who has to get backing from her VP to get anything done. If he's what it need,
Yeah,
if he's what it takes to make her relevant in the situation, she don't need to be in the way because don't nobody have time for that. And it's
that's
not,
true.
to me, it's not disrespectful to a woman. It's just a fact because in America, I'm gonna say we. I don't think I'm included because I don't get down like that. I understand certain things, but I'm gonna just say we for the sake of the conversation. We think we're supposed to have everything we want. We think we're supposed to get disrespect no matter this respect no matter where we are, right? Like I said, military. You travel around the world. We are a conceited country. We think that we're supposed to go over to Japan and everything's supposed to be in English. You know what I'm saying?
Nah,
So that is the usual mentality of Americans. And so having a woman president, of course, people are going to think, well, she's the president. And so when she goes over here, you have to listen to her. You have to respect her. You have to do this. If she wants to talk to you or she can sign this and she can do that, it's not like that. It's
no,
not like that. But just like here, if you didn't want to hear what I say, if you didn't want me on your podcast, I wouldn't be here. You have a choice
that's
in the
true.
matter right here. So what makes people think that other wealthy families that then ran their countries for centuries, royal lineage, people whose militaries appear tougher than ours, people who looking at this country been run like a circus, you really think they're gonna sit down and talk to her? They barely sat down and talked to Joe. So, and like
Yo,
we said,
you right.
they lost the women who were behind her, and everybody lost the election. Now the men probably just going on about their business because they're not emotional like we can be. These women have shaved their heads.
Nah, I done seen some emotional men, like the mayor of Baltimore. I got a reaction video coming on him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy,
Well,
we
let's talk about the women since we talk about women presidents. They done shaved their head. They done made bracelets. They done made freak out videos. They done stop dealing with their husbands. You know, they done turn their backs. You can't do that. You can't show emotion like that. When somebody tell you they don't want to talk to you, when you can't negotiate a trade, when you can't set foot in a country with your shoes on, or you gotta, what in the hell would it look like if the president of the United States as a woman has to cover herself
yeah.
in cultural garments of another country? That's a sign of surrender. That's a sign of submission.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. That- Yeah, you right. And like when my homies broke this down, I was like, damn. And then, like I said, when I saw the argument, between the Iraqi woman and the politician over there, and he basically was like, Muhammad did it, so you
Mhm.
know, it's
And
it's
it's like
righteous.
what
Muhammad
it
did
looked
it.
like. What it looked like a woman president going into a place and they're screaming at, like, and not even officials, guards, people that here would probably be well below her stature, telling her to get out, telling her to be quiet, telling her you can't touch the prince, you can't shake his hand, you can't look him in his
Don't
eyes,
even look at Yeah. Don't even look at him.
you can't look
Like
the president of the United States.
yeah, like I said, when I found out that had she won, there was a good amount of world leaders who wouldn't even have a sit down with her. I was like, no, that's not good. I was like,
Not good at
I
all.
was I was like, national security is already at risk
At
because of this
risk.
open board
Mm-hmm.
or open border shit. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, to have a bunch of world leaders who just would not sit with her. I was like, no, no, I'm good.
And that's the thing.
I'm
Nobody
good
thinks
off that.
about this stuff really until it happens. You have to be in
Happens.
certain sectors to understand it before it would have happened.
Yeah, like when I found that out, I was like, nah, I don't think we need to have it because it's too, how can I put it? It's too many boundaries and obstacles and like parameters and shit that goes on in that when you start getting into other countries' cultures and all of that. So
Hmm.
just to make it easier, it you would rather have a man because again, yeah,
Because
there was some
it's still gonna get
countries
the
we.
same result if a man has to go with you. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
as a president of the United States, you can't go in this space and speak to him, but the vice president can.
Yeah, nah, that don't look right. So yeah, nah, like you was right. You was right. And cause like I said, remember I told you I was like, I think
Hmm.
that we are. And then like I really, really sat and thought about it and I was
Hmm.
like,
Because even
mm.
alone, if it was just people, like if it was just men, excuse me, and their egos, it's like, okay, that's not hard to overcome. You know what I mean? However, once you get on the global stage and once, like, there's respect politics and stuff that are in play. There's cultural differences that are in play. And the majority of Americans don't travel, ain't been nowhere, don't read, don't follow world politics. And then, especially when you're talking about women, a lot of things are emotion, how I feel. I feel like this. I feel like that. It's some places where you start talking like that, you're gonna feel the back of their hand. You know what I'm saying? So it
Like,
has nothing to do with, like, even if she was absolutely and completely and utterly capable, knowledgeable, qualified to be the president of the United States, she still should not be the president of the United States, because at that point, now where do you put us on a global scale?
yeah, and then now it's
And that
gonna be
matters.
interesting. It's gonna be interesting because I'm about to watch. Trump said he's gonna go after the Mexican cartel, and
Hmm.
that Mexico better they better hold their weight. It's gonna be interesting to see this
But it
relationship
need
he
to be
have because
interesting, and something needs to happen, because what people, I don't, I read it, but I hadn't heard anything about it. Was how one of the presidents of one of the Latin American countries, their prisons are practically empty because all of them flooded here, and they was
Venezuela.
basically, yeah, basically extorting the United States, and said that if you don't start giving us money in aid every year, we're going to keep releasing our criminals in our prison system into your
Hmm.
country. Who blackmails the
Yep.
president of the United States? Who does that? What do you have to think about the president of the United States in order to be
As a
bold enough to
third
say some shit like that?
as a third world country,
Give
I
us
might add.
money, or we're going to keep flooding your country with immigrants. I'm
Yeah,
like,
but not
my line. Who they
the
talking to? Who?
but the reason I said that about the Mexico thing is because they just elected a woman president. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm gonna pay close attention to the dynamic that her
Mm-hmm.
and Trump have because
And
now
yep,
I'm gonna pay attention to it.
the dynamic that him and her having, a dynamic in her own country,
Yeah, yeah, because
because that's
that
important too.
country is basically ran by the cartels. So yeah, that's about to get interesting.
I'll
But
I'll, I'll take that ride with you.
because yeah, that one is about to get interesting. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I thank you for coming on. I gotta go
We ain't
get
even
ready
get to
for
the second
work.
question.
I know. I gotta go get ready for work. So I thank you for coming on. We're gonna do this again. Probably
Of,
real soon. I gotta see if I work this weekend. If I don't work this weekend, I'm gonna definitely do another panel this weekend.
of course,
I
because the
seem to get more
conversation is still
people to come
relevant. It's
out.
still gonna be relevant. So
Of course,
that
like
second
I
question is
seem to
still
get more
staying.
people to come out when I record on the weekend. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to get it done on the weekend. But I
Roger
thank
that.
you so much
Of
for
course,
coming out.
I'm always front and center. I'm here. You
This
just
is
need to make me a permanent part of the panel.
I think I'm gonna add you to the group chat. You gonna be the only woman in there, but I think I'm gonna add you to the group
I
chat.
mean, I think
But
I can
the
hold
group
my
chat
own.
don't be
I
crazy.
know when to crash out and when to concede.
Yeah, nah. The group it ain't nobody gonna crash out in the group chat, and everybody in the group chat already love you, so you be fine.
What? Who in the group chat?
Yeah. It's my bros. It's one of my bros. My bros is in there. So like
Oh, okay,
they
okay.
know you. They already love you. So it's all good. But yes, thank you for coming out. This
Of
has been
course.
another episode of Sue Me Later. I'm your host, the villain with the most, Sean Bills. Hit that like button, that subscribe button. Follow Save on all platforms. She'll
Yeah,
give you
the
her
S
socials.
word. At the S word on was it Instagram? TheEssWord. Shaya Save Smith, ShayaSavesmith on Facebook. At Save SAVEB me on TikTok and Snapchat.
That I gotta follow you on TikTok. I don't even be on TikTok like that though. I used to. I
I
used
got
to
a
be
lot of
on
videos on
TikTok.
TikTok.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing TikToks again because it was so
TikTok,
easy to
TikTok,
just
TikTok is
I
where
was
it's at
laughing.
as soon as they lifted censorship.
Yeah, nah. Oh yeah, and that was one thing. Like I was getting hit with strikes left and right. They was killing me with the strikes, but now I'm gonna get back on TikTok. I'm gonna start posting again. I'm probably shadow banned now, but I'm gonna try to get out of that shadow ban. I'm gonna
Hmm.
start flooding the market. They gonna have to do
Yeah,
something to flood the market.
just be present, and then when it lift and it take off, because I think Trump planned on stopping the TikTok ban, and I'm mad at TikTok because they folded, but money talk, right? Anybody trying to give up them checks, and it helps a lot of people with their checks. So
So
but
yeah,
once they lift the censorship that quote unquote is doesn't exist or whatever, then you'll be good to go. So you got to get over there and get familiar and get your people up. And then so once it is lifted and you can say what you want to say, then it's up.
Bet. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing more TikToks again because I used to do them like crazy.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had a few go like semi-viral, but yeah,
Hmm.
I'm gonna definitely get back on that, man. Because TikTok was fun. I ain't even
Yeah,
gonna hold
TikTok
you.
is fun.
TikTok was fun.
TikTok is fun.
But yeah, let me go. I gotta go get ready for work.
Yeah,
It's gonna
go
be a
get the
long
bag,
night.
make the money. Don't let the money make you.
Yeah, you know Christmas coming up, so you know how that go.
Oh, for sure.
You know how that go. All right, I'm gonna see you though.
All right.
All right.